Having me, it's a great honor to be here today. McKinsey did a study and they found that half of the world is still unbanked. That's 2.5 billion people who don't have access to affordable credit or loans. So what do they do in order to get a loan? They usually go to pawn shops or loan sharks. And using the Philippines as an example, there are more pawn shops than banks. When we looked at it, we found that there are a few problems which are worth solving. Usually, or one could say that it is very expensive to be poor. Pawn shops charge extremely high interest rates. They usually give you a very low valuation for your items. And it's probably not the most fun thing to go to a pawn shop. So we asked ourselves, what if we use technology to solve the problem? So we came up with PawnHero. We revolutionized one of the oldest industries in the world with technology. We put a pawn shop in everybody's pocket. So, how are we actually different? Since we don't invest and maintain into physical branches, we have a much lower cost structure. In the Philippines, 72% of the population went to a pawn shop before. That's 72 million people. We charge half of the interest that traditional pawn shops charge. So think about what the impact we can have on these people's lives if they suddenly get access to a loan at half of the cost. They can invest into much more needed things like healthcare, education, and so forth. We have only one central appraisal center where we combine all our knowledge, which allows us to accept a much wider variety of items, not only limited to jewelry and electronics. We pretty much accept everything which has a value. And it's much more fun and easy to do. So, how does it work? The user starts with taking a picture of the item they want to pawn. Within a few minutes, they receive a free appraisal, and they can then schedule a free and fully insured pickup nationwide as the same day. Item gets delivered to our central warehouse, we do the physical assessment, and we pay out the loan. Once you pay back your loan, we ship back the item, again, free and fully insured. But PawnHero doesn't stop there. We want to solve the problem of the unbanked situation in the Philippines. Only 2 out of 10 people have a bank account and less than 5% have a credit card. So what we do, we partner with the bank and pay out the card through a debit card. So every customer gets instant access to financial services. They can withdraw the money from any ATM nationwide, can pay at the point of sale, or shop online. We also built a marketplace for all the unredeemed items. We currently have a default rate of 60%, 1/6, which is less than the traditional brick and mortar pawn shop. The advantage is that all items are authenticated and tested. This year we'll be opening the marketplace for existing pawn shops and helping them to solve the problem which they face with selling the items in case of a default. We launched in the Philippines first. We're celebrating our first year anniversary next week. We got significant traction, and the Philippines is just the beginning. This is the team who's making it happen. We got covered by one of the biggest newspapers. We won a regional startup competition across 14 countries last year, and we got backing from SoftBank, INJ, and 500 startups. Thank you.
Any questions? First, I'm surprised I have never seen an online pawn shop idea before. It's like, when you hear it, it's so obvious. But congratulations on being out ahead on this. My question is, how's your loan repayment rate? And what are you finding in terms of your ability to resell the pawned items when the loan is not repaid? Are you recovering more than the loan? So, what's the economic outcome at the end of the loan?
Very good question. And this was one of the objectives we wanted to find out and prove in the first year. So what we found is that 16% of the people default on the loan, and we're selling the items at 114% profit. So we're actually making a profit. We have after 6 months we looked at all the different categories and we divided them into 4 major categories, and we are at the point where we are analyzing whether we are actually interested in people defaulting or not. But the good thing is, unlike e-commerce, we're making money on the first time transaction, and we have 29% returning customer.
Any more?
I'm going to ask his question from before, since he's asking about it. What's your barrier to entry?
The entry barriers, you said?
Why just the Philippines? Why aren't you moving really quick to be everywhere?
Well, I mean, first of all, we operating in a very regulated industry. We had to get the license from the central bank, which took 7 months. So everyone we would need to go through the same process. And then, I mean, there are 18,000 pawn shops, so there are a lot in the Philippines. The capital requirements are not very high, but it all comes down to operation, right, and execution. Thank you.
You okay? We have another minute. If anyone has a question. No?
I'm just wondering how you source your appraisers.
Yeah, good question. What we initially did is we thought, okay, we hire them from the existing pawn shops, but we found that they go by a price list, to be honest. Yeah? So they get from the headquarter a list, and they mostly accept only gold, which is relatively easy to appraise. So we have the former general manager of the biggest pawn shop chain in the world in our team, so we understand brick and mortar really well. And we just hire people who have worked in, for example, electronic stores. We have gemologists in our team. We have all sorts of people with different expertise. Yeah, we have fashion queens because we accept bags and so forth. So it's a combination of different things.
Okay, thank you. Let's do that one. Next person.